What if I told you, the story of the Philippines didn't begin with Magellan's arrival in 1521? What if I told you, that for thousands of years before Spain even knew these islands existed, there were kingdoms, warriors, and civilizations so advanced they traded with China, India, and even Arabia? This is the untold history of the Philippines, before Magellan ever set foot on its shores. Long before Europeans arrived, the islands we now call the Philippines were not empty lands waiting to be discovered. They were alive. Villages thrived near rivers. Rice fields stretched across fertile plain. But here's the shocking part, archaeologists have found tools and bones dating back tens of thousands of years, meaning humans lived here, far earlier than most of us were ever told. The first great settlers? The Austronesians. They weren't just ordinary people. They were seafarers, navigators who mastered the oceans without compasses, using only the stars, waves, and winds. They spread across the Pacific, and they built the foundations of the Philippines' earliest community. But what nobody tells you is this: these early people weren't isolated tribes. They were part of a vast ocean network that stretched thousands of miles. By the 10th century, the Philippines had powerful chiefdoms and kingdoms. The Rajahnate of Cebu, the Kingdom of Tondo, the Sultanate of Sulu. These weren't small villages. They were bustling centers of trade, politics, and culture. Chinese porcelain, Indian beads, Arabian silver, all found in Philippine soil. Proof that these islands were not hidden, but connected to the world. And this is where everything changes, because these kingdoms had something that made outsiders very interested: gold. Spanish chroniclers would later write, the islands glistened with gold bracelets, necklaces, even weapons were decorated with it. Gold wasn't just wealth, it was power. And it fueled the rise of rulers who controlled trade routes across the sea. But here's the twist: with power came conflict. Different kingdoms rivaled each other, each fighting for dominance. The Philippines wasn't one nation yet, it was many, divided but thrived. Every kingdom had its defenders, the barangay warrior. Armed with campilon swords, shields, and poison-tipped arrows, they were feared in battle. And leading them were the datus, chiefs whose authority came not just from bloodline, but from strength, bravery, and wisdom. Yet, what nobody tells you is this: many of these warriors weren't just fighters. They were also explorers, crossing seas to raid, trade, and form alliances. They were both feared and respected. Before Christianity, before the cross, the islands had their own spiritual world. They worshipped Barthala, the supreme creator. They prayed to nature spirits, the Diwata, the Anitas. Every mountain, every river, every tree was alive with meaning. Priestesses known as babaylan guided rituals, healed the sick, and spoke to the unseen world. And here's the haunting truth: the babaylan were so powerful that when colonizers finally arrived, they saw them as threats to be erased. By the late 1400s, the Philippines was a mosaic of cultures: Hindu influences from India, Islamic sultanates in Mindanao, Chinese traders in the north. The islands were never isolated. They were part of Asia's great web of trade and power. And then, everything changed. In 1521, a fleet of strange ships appeared on the horizon. Magellan had arrived, but here's the thing: Magellan did not discover the Philippines. He stepped into a land with thousands of years of history, kingdoms of power, and a people who already knew who they were. Closing scene: the truth revealed: the story of the Philippines did not begin with colonization. It began with explorers of the stars, rulers of gold, warriors of honor, and priestesses of spirit. Magellan's arrival was not a beginning, it was an interruption. So the next time someone asks you about the history of the Philippines, remember this: before Magellan, there was already a nation, rich in culture, spirit, and pride. A story not of discovery, but of